Hello there, this is Yanis Makula for Spellbinders Creative Arts, and thank you for joining me today. In this video, I'll show you how to make beautiful Christmas card using Spellbinders Holiday 2016 collection dies. I'm going to be using vintage ornaments and peppermint stick from the Holiday 2016 collection, as well as triple tier, standard circles large, grateful lettuce expandable pattern die, and finally A2 curved borders 2 dies, although this last one can be skipped. I'm going to start by die cutting my elements out. First, I'm going to cut and also emboss the vintage ornament and topper out of white cardstock. I'm using my Platinum die cutting and embossing machine, and I already have my base platform, my bottom clear plate, my paper, and the die on top of it facing cutting edge down, and going to cover with another clear cutting plate and send through the machine to cut. I'm also going to emboss the ornament, not embossing the topper as that piece is not meant for embossing. I'm using my base platform, my tan embossing mat, and my blue embossing plate to emboss the ornament. Next, use your tool-in-one to pop the die cuts out of the die and set it aside. I'm also going to go ahead and die cut a circle out of white cardstock. I'm using a circle die from the triple tier set, and you can use just a regular circle for this, but I chose this die because it adds a tiny bit of faux stitching around the edge. I've also already die cut an embossed identical circle out of blue cardstock, and the reason I need this white one is so that I can create snowy hills for my card. I'm using a border die from the A2 curved borders 2 set and die cutting 2 hills out of this circle to layer over the blue circle. This step can be skipped as much of this die cutting will be covered with the ornament. I've also die cut another circle out of silver cardstock, and for that one I used die number 6, with the smallest die being die number 1 from the standard circles large set. This one will create a mat for the blue die cut circle. I'm also using leaves from the peppermint stick die set and die cutting several leaves out of 2 shades of green cardstock. I'm going to shape them with my fingers and set aside for now. One last piece I need to create for my card is a background. I'm going to use the Grateful Lettuce expandable pattern die and will emboss this design onto a piece of silver cardstock. For best results, I like to lightly mist my cardstock with water before embossing. This will allow the paper fibers to stretch and will prevent your paper from tearing when you emboss it with your dies. So go ahead and place it over the die, add tan embossing mat and blue embossing plate, and send through the machine to emboss. And here's our background, nice and beautiful. Now let's go ahead and put this card together. I want the ornament die cut to be a little shaker and have small beads inside of it. So I'm going to use some double-sided adhesive and will add a layer of clear acetate from the back side of this die to create a screen to keep the beads inside. Next, I'm using foam adhesive squares and going to build walls for this shaker element. You can use foam tape for this, and it is actually easier to make a wall with tape rather than small individual squares, but I don't have any, so I'm using what I have. Next, I'm going to create a back wall for this element, and I'm just cutting a piece of white cardstock with my scissors. You can also use colored cardstock for this to have some additional color on the inside. I'm going to remove the backing paper from my adhesive, we'll add tiny beads, and we'll close the shaker with another piece of cardstock. I'm also going to put the circle element together. First, I'm adhering the light blue circle over the silver one. Next, going to trim it as I only want a partial circle on my card, and we'll foam mount the snowy hills to add some interest to this element. I've already foam mounted my embossed background panel onto an A2 top folding card base. I adhered my partial circle and foam mounted the ornament, and I'm going to go ahead and foam mount a sentiment for this card, and I'm going with Wishing You a Sparkling Holiday one, which I heat embossed in white embossing powder onto a strip of blue cardstock. I'm also going to add additional holly leaves to this project to add a pop of color, and I'm shaping each leaf with my fingers before I adhere it down onto the card. I also adhered several red enamel dots, added red and white baker's twine, and several clear sequins, and that finished my simple die cut holiday card with a shaker ornament. Here's a closer look at this Christmas card featuring several dies from the Holiday 2016 collection from Spellbinders. If you have any questions about this project, please leave them in the comment section below. And be sure to subscribe to Spellbinders YouTube channel for more education and inspiration. If you are interested in the products I used, I have them linked down below in my YouTube description. Here are a few more videos on my channel featuring Spellbinders dies. Be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet done so, and thank you so much for watching.